So TikTok is getting banned, or it may be here in the United States. We're not entirely sure. Now, I mean, if you're anyone who's anyone, you probably have already heard about this. And we have this article from NPR, and I'm just going to read it out. The why the House voted to ban TikTok and what could come next. The House voted overwhelmingly Wednesday to approve a bipartisan bill that would require ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok, to sell the social media app or face a ban on all US devices. The vote was 352 to 65. They have been able to be more effective on this than anything that would actually help US citizens. But we'll get into that later. The legislation's fate is unclear. In the Senate, the top two lawmakers on the Senate Intelligence Committee, Senator Marco Rubio and Mark Warner, released a joint statement praising the House bill and urging Senate action, but the timeline is unclear. Several lawmakers have suggested that the Senate should hold hearings on the legislation before moving forward. Representative Mike Gallagher, who chairs the House Select Committee on China, is the lead GOP sponsor on the bipartisan bill, maintains that the bill does not amount to a ban of the video sharing app, despite the fact that it is. It's literally a ban. What we're after is it's not a ban, it's a forced separation, Gallagher told NPR. TikTok user experience can continue and improve as long as ByteDance doesn't own the company. And here's the thing. I mean, they literally say it in the next paragraph. In practice, however, the bill will ban TikTok in the United States. Both the company and China historically have refused to consider divestiture. It's just if they were to, pass this along, it's probably not going to, they're probably not going to sell it. Because here's the thing, and it's a reason why I had this up. TikTok statistics you need to know. So TikTok has about 1 billion monthly active users, and this comes from last month. So it's pretty recent. And when it comes to US users, it's 150 million. Now you will look at that and it's well, that's still a big number, but you had to understand that that's 15%. That's 15% of the TikTok usership. And the thing is that TikTok would probably be completely fine just letting that go. So having this bill where they're just oh, they need to sell TikTok to an American company, they're not going to do that. That's why this bill is pointless, because they're not going to do that. They're just going to, lose 15% of their usership. And that's probably a hit they're willing to take instead of just selling their entire app. Why would I give up most of my money when I could just lose some of it? It's completely dumb to think that. Gallagher says classified and unclassified national security assessments show that the app is a threat to user privacy and that it's been used to target journalists and interfere in elections. Top officials from intelligence and national security agencies conducted a classified briefing on their analysis from all House members on Tuesday. Classified information is not made public, in part because it deals with matters of national security. And here's the thing, you hear that and you're just well, obviously they should go forward with this if messing with, US citizens, private data. Here's the thing, Facebook and Instagram that does that too. They do it all the time, and there has been investigations done into that, and it shows exactly how harmful it is. I did a video about I think it was a month or two or so ago. It was about hearings on TikTok, but also Meta, Facebook and Instagram. It's kind of why in that video I say that they're just kind of doing this for show. First of all, I didn't actually think they were going to go forward with the TikTok part of it. But the thing is that the fact that Zuckerberg was there, and yet we aren't hearing anything about Meta. Meta is not being forced to do anything. And secondly, if they actually cared about if they actually cared about data privacy, they wouldn't force them to sell to an American company. They would just ban it. Why would you force them to sell this thing that why would you just force this thing that is a data that just collects user data instead of just banning it outright if you actually cared about people's privacy? Wouldn't you just get rid of it? Wouldn't you just say, hey, knock it off? Like we're not gonna let you use this on our population. No, it's because they want it so that they can use it. That's it. That's all they want, and it's why they haven't done anything with Meta. Like they allow Meta to do whatever they want because they profit off that. They're completely fine with that because it's Americans doing it. They just don't like that it's the Chinese doing it, and it's a large reason why they're doing it. And there are other reasons to that too, that I have seen going around. This also could be due to the fact that a lot of like TikTok is a lot better at allowing people who are pro Palestine to express themselves and for people to get a better look at what's going on in Palestine compared to stuff like Twitter, and especially compared to stuff like Facebook and Instagram, where if you post you know in support of Palestine, you can get banned. It's why you don't really see a lot of people talking about it on there. And here's the thing, on Twitter, you know, I think it's pretty good. At least like I often get a lot of people talking about it, and I see a lot of people talking about it on there. But it's a lot easier for TikTok, and that's why a lot of people believe this is getting banned. I can't say that with full certainty. It's probably the reason why it's getting sped up, but at the same time, they do. Their end goal is to have this as a U.S. service, and obviously that will probably make it less. That will also play into a part of it being people not being as accessible to what's going on in Palestine. But I don't. I think there's a lot of reasons why they're doing this, and I do believe what's going on in Palestine is the reason for that. And there being a lot of young people in support of Palestine, probably because of that, because they're actually getting to see what's happening instead of being told what's happening through a biased news media. So again, I'm not saying that it's not the reason. I'm just saying like they've been they've been trying. Like I do believe this is playing a big part into it of being like we just want this data privacy app used for us. That's it. They just want control of the app because they see how popular it is, and they just, China the enemy, China bad. That's all that's really going on with them. And yeah, I do think what's going on in Palestine does play into it. I just, I don't know. I think they're looking at profit more so with this. But that's just, my belief on it. But yeah, I don't really know where they go from here. Like I think this is just a I don't know. I didn't even think they were gonna make it this far. I was just like they can't be this stupid, right? But no, they are this stupid. Silly me. I should know already that they are this stupid and they would definitely do something like this. But yeah, it's just wild. But, we still have the Senate. They might have hearings or they're just gonna go for it. Joe Biden has already showed support on it. Again, him just not being able to read the room. Despite again, because a lot of young users, like a lot of young people, the the votership that he has been unable to really get a large portion of on his side, like this app. It's just such a way for Democrats to continue to you know just separate from their young voter base instead of playing into it. Like if he does lose this next election, which there is a very good chance he's going to, they have no the Democratic Party has no one to blame but themselves because they are literally trying everything in their power to just push away their younger voter base. That's it. I do want to talk a little bit more about the TikTok ban, particularly because I don't feel like I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I kind of felt like I kind of feel like I was downplaying the part when it came to why they are banning it. It's still for a good portion of it is because they do want to have it sold to a U.S. company, but at the same time, a lot of this push is really because of what's going on in Palestine and how much the younger generation is in support of Palestine, mostly because of TikTok. Because TikTok doesn't, they don't really have as much as a interest in Israel as the U.S. does in terms of supporting it. China doesn't really have that interest that the U.S. does, so they don't necessarily need to have a bias towards this situation, which is why it's more accessible to view, you know, pro-Palestinian, content in terms of TikTok, which you can't do on Facebook or Instagram. Twitter, I don't know. Elon's just really bad at handling Twitter. That honestly, I think it's still pretty good there, but I have seen less talk about it. But so right now, TikTok is kind of like the best place for it because unlike Meta and Twitter, they don't have a vested interest because they don't really have ties to the U.S. So that's also why these hearings are coming. Well, it's not even like why they are trying to push to ban. This is why they are trying to push to ban it, and it's why we had those hearings like a few months ago because I believe those hearings they happened in November, if I remember correctly. Remember, I posted a video around then. Actually, no, it might have been in January. Oh no, it was in February. It was last month. Jesus. Actually, no. Well, I'm pretty sure they had hearings back then too. I'm pretty sure these were like the second pair of hearings that they actually like brought Mark Zuckerberg in for as well. But there were hearings like a couple months ago before like the hearings last month. And honestly, and the thing is that if this does happen, if they do sell TikTok, which they're not. I talked about this yesterday. TikTok losing its US base. It wouldn't hurt them too much. Obviously, they still want that. Like, there's a reason why the CEO is trying to fight for it because he does understand, like, it's still a good chunk. But it's not like if they, lose this, they couldn't just cut out the US base and just, continue operating as normal with just, like, you know, without that money coming in. But even if they do, yeah, it would, in, like, the company is owned by a U.S. company, then yeah, it's more likely that there is going to be way less pro-Palestine content on there, or like just access to what the Palestinian people are like going through. I also do want to share this leaked call that got out. Now this call has been leaked out for a couple months now, so it's not new, but I do want to play this. This is the director of the ADL. Basically saying that they have a Gen Z TikTok problem. So yeah, this is definitely some proof that this, TikTok ban isn't solely because of the US wanting to own it. It also, it gives a lot of support for this is probably getting pushed out because of Israel.
I also want to point out that we have a major generational problem. All the polling I've seen, ADL's polling, ICC's polling, independent polling, suggests this is not a left-right gap, folks. The issue in the United States of support for Israel is not left and right. It is young and old. And the numbers of young people who think that Hamas's, massacre was justified is shockingly and terrifyingly high. And so we really have a TikTok problem, a Gen Z problem, that our community needs to put the same brains that gave us Taglit, the same brains that gave us all these other amazing innovations, need to put our energy toward this, like, fast. Because again, like we've been chasing this left-right divide, it's the wrong game. The real game is the next generation, and the Hamas and their accomplices, the useful idiots in the West, are falling in line in ways that are terrifying. Last thing I'll just say, we saw a dramatic change in the language of the activists here in America on October the 8th. The language of groups that we've long tracked, who've long been problematic, like Students for Justice in Palestine and Jewish Voices for Peace, they flipped like this and went to like Iranian propaganda. The language I could show you from their toolkits, because our analysts are in their groups. We saw this again on October the 8th. It was that fast. Like the language in their toolkits was all about the Zionist entity and lots of other language that we recognized from Iranian propaganda.
And yeah, I think that just shows what needs to be said. Like, it's very much them understanding what their problem is and why, there is a, great amount of people, especially in the younger generation, who aren't on the side of Israel or definitely, pro-Palestine. But, like, it's also just disgusting how he talks about this. Like, again, like, it also goes to show, like, it absolutely goes to show how disgusting they are, that they, like, are looking at groups like Jewish Voice for Peace and are just like, look at all this disgusting Iranian propaganda, or they're just, saying the truth. Like, you are a bunch of Zionists. I mean, that's literally what they are. Like, literally, people who are in support of the growth of Israel are literally Zionists, and you don't have to be Jewish to be Zionist, as we talked about this before. Christian Zionists are a thing, mostly for insanely bad reasons, because they believe that Israel is where all the Jewish people are going to go during Armageddon unless they convert to Christianity. But again, this is more than likely a reason why they're pushing forth. Again, this got leaked 4 months ago. That would have been December. So maybe they have been really pushing for this. That's why we've been seeing a lot of hearings from this, from like the TikTok, like the TikTok hearings, and why they're really pushing for this ban. Maybe they're finally getting their plan together. I don't know. Also, to me, it's not really surprising, like him saying we have analysts in their groups. Like, yeah, they're pretty disgusting. I could imagine they would probably try to, get some people in there, try to sneak their way in there. But yeah, I just wanted to show that because, again, it definitely shows that there's proof that this is why they're going after TikTok. Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to say that.